Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Now, today we're looking at a CSEC biology past paper, and we're looking at a paper one from June 2021. Now, before I start the examination, I wanted to always remember to read through the instructions carefully. You'll notice that they will state that there are 60 items or 60 questions on the paper, and you will be given 1 hour and 15 minutes to answer all of these questions. In addition, you will be given an answer sheet, and on that answer sheet, you should shade in your answers, and you will notice that they will give you an example of how to do that. Again, read through all the other instructions and read through them carefully and make sure you understand all of these instructions. And if you have any doubt, please ask your examiner. Now, let's jump into our first question. Now, our first question reads, which of the following features is used to classify a group of organisms as class Insecta? So in other words, which of the following are used to classify insects? And so the shape, size, and color are not used to classify insects at all. But the number of segments, definitely, because insects, they have 3 segments: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. All right, let's jump into question number 2. And question number 2 reads, which of the following options correctly defines a niche and a habitat? Now, a niche, let's look at option A. It said the role that an organism plays in the habitat, and definitely that is correct. So let's look at habitat, and it said the place where an organism lives, and absolutely that is also correct. So option A will be our answer. But what I want you to do is to read through all the other options to ensure that the selected answer or the answer that you have in mind is absolutely the correct one, because sometimes answers can be really close. All right, so he said the place where organism lives for niche is not true, so that is definitely B is definitely not true, and C say in a community of living organism, which is not true at all. And D is talking about the biotic factors of ecosystem where an organism lives is not true for niche at all. All right, so definitely A will be our correct answer. All right, let's go to question number 3. And in question number 3, it said living organisms such as plants are affected by abiotic factors. And when we say abiotic factors, we're talking about the non-living factors of the environment. And it said these factors now which determine where they become established, which of the following options list some of these determining factors? Now, for option A, it is saying sediment size, shape, and color. Size, shape, and color does not affect where plants may grow or organism may live. And then B is saying sunlight availability, which is a non-living thing of the environment, which is a good one. Soil pH is also good, and minerals is also good. So B seem good so far. Let's look at C. C is saying parasitism, commensalism, and mutualism. These are biotic factors, and matter of fact, these are feeding relationship within the environment itself. So this could not be an answer again. D is saying deforestation, slash and burn, shifting cultivation, and those things are activities by man. And so definitely B will be your answer for question number 3. Now let's jump over to question number 4. And question number 4 states, which of the following organisms are most important in biodegradation? And when we talk about biodegradation, what you're talking about is decomposition. So the following, you have bacteria, you have vultures, you have omnivores, you have earthworms. And so for question number 4, A will be our answer, because bacteria, they are decomposers. And so since they are living things, the word bio, living, and degradation means to break down. So they break down by living things. And so bacteria are decomposers. So definitely A is our option. All right, let's go to question number 5. And in question number 5, it's a farmer noticed pink mealy bugs in his garden. He is advised to introduce the ladybird beetle to control the mealy bugs. The type of relationship between the mealybug and the ladybird beetle is described as what? Now, if you look at commensalism and you think about what commensalism means, is that one organism is benefiting by getting food, for example, and the other one is without any form of harm or danger. And so that is not true for that. But B is saying predator prey relationship, and that is definitely true because one will eat the other. And so B seems good. Look at C, it's a mutualism, and mutualism is when both of them are benefiting, and that is not happening in that case because the ladybird beetle will definitely eat the pink mealybug. All right, so the predator in this case will be the ladybird beetle, and the prey will be definitely the mealybug. All right, so B is good for this question. Just want to point out parasitism in option D. Parasitism is not the answer because in this case, parasites will live within the host and will cause some harm to the host, especially causing diseases. All right, so let's go to question number 6 at this time. And question number 6, right here. So question number 6 now, it said, which of the following statements about recycling manufactured materials are true? All right, so let's just guide ourselves through this. And so it gave us 3 statements. And so the first statement is said that less energy is used in manufacturing of new products by using the raw material from recycled products. And option 2 statement is that some manufactured products can be recycled. And then option 3 is saying that recycling of some non-biodegradable materials prevent landfill site from filling up too quickly and for a long period of time. And so if you look through all of these options, these are really good statement because definitely you should use less energy to recycle. And of course, some of them can be recycled, and recycling of non-biodegradable will definitely prevent the landfill sites from filling up too quickly. So here in number 6, D will be our option. All 3 statements are true. Now let's go to question number 7, and it's down to the bottom. And question number 7 is said approximately 10% of energy stored in food is available to the next organism in a food chain because of what? Now, what I wanted to note here is because a very simple statement, only 10% is passed on because the organism itself uses the energy to carry out its activities. All right. And so look at option A. So most of the energy is lost as heat during the process of respiration. And remember now, all activities involving movements and development and so on will require some energy from the process of respiration. So most life activities require energy from respiration. So definitely A looks good so far. And let's look at B. So most of the energy is lost during the process of excretion, which is not true. There are fewer consumers than producers in the food chain, which is not the correct answer. Again, it said many consumers compete for the same food source, which is not true. So number 7, A will be our option. All right, let's jump into question number 8. And question number 8 is said, which of the following materials is considered to be non-biodegradable? Non-biodegradable. So cutting from grass, so grass cutting is biodegradable. You can use that to recycle to make compost. Sardine cans, definitely not. Newspaper and cloth, they can be recycled and they are biomaterials. They're made up of either plant materials. So paper, for example, come from plants. And again, cloth may come from either cotton or even silk, for example, a silkworm. So definitely sardine cans are non-biodegradable. All right, let's look at question number 9. And question number 9 reads that replanting trees on a bare hillside is an example of what? And there's a key word right here that must highlight that real quick. Bare hillside. So if hillside is bare, that means nothing is there or nothing was planted there first. And so if you look at option A, you'll notice that it said restoration. And restoration means that you're replanting. And the keyword here is bare. So restoration and preservation cannot be the correct option there. Preservation and conservation cannot be the answer because conserving means to maintain or to keep what is already there. But re-afforestation and re-afforestation is planting trees in areas where there were no trees before. So that one seemingly good there for question number 9. And it said also restoration. So you're going to restore the area as well. And so definitely C will be a good option. Conservation and afforestation, I will not say that is good because again, conserving is to maintain what is there, but the hillside is bare. All right, let's jump to question number 10. And in question number 10, this one is on the top. All right, so in question number 10, it reads that the greatest threat to the survival of coral reef is what? And so he said increase in the oxygen level. That's seeming good there. It's an increase in ocean temperature, which is a very bad thing because an increase in temperature could damage the coral reef. In matter of fact, increased temperature will affect the zooxanthellae within the coral themselves. And so therefore it will lead to bleaching. Decreased greenhouse gases definitely is not a threat at all. Decreased nitrogen level is not a threat. So the one that is most dangerous or the greatest threat here is to increase of the ocean temperature. So definitely B will be your answer there for question number 10. All right, let's go to question number 11. And in question number 11, let's go up a little bit. Question number 11, it said question number 11 refers to the following graph of population growth. All right, so let's get down into it a little bit. Let's get a little zoom in. What I want to notice with this graph, you'll notice here on the y-axis you see number of organisms and you see time on the x-axis. All right, so for this question, if you notice there are 4 phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the number of organisms will increase going up to 2, and then at 3 it will stabilize, and at 4 it start to decrease. So bear it in mind. And then let's see what the question is actually asking us to do now. It said phase 4 of the graph of population growth is most likely due to what? Well, let's check again what is happening at phase 4. At phase 4, there is a decrease in population. And so if there's a decrease in population, let's look at what will cause a decrease in population. All right, so one is said that there is a competition from invasive species, which is a good thing that could decrease population, definitely. It said B, adequate food and space. Nah, that will definitely not cause a decrease. Those things will cause increase. High natural birth rate, oh yes, that will cause increase. Disease resistance definitely will cause high growth rate in the population. So our answer here has to be A for question number 11. All right, now question number 12. And for question number 12, we said when compared to a cheek cell, a muscle cell contains more of what? Now, the first thing you need to know, is what the muscle cell is actually doing. Muscle cells work hard, they carry out a great number of tasks, and so they require a lot of energy. And so what is producing energy here is the mitochondria. So muscle cells must have more mitochondria compared to a cheek cell. All right, so let's go to question number 13. That should be on the next page. Right, so question number 13 is right here. All right, and question number 13 refers to the following diagram of a cell. And so the first thing I want to point out here that this is a plant cell. How we know it's a plant cell? If you look carefully, you notice there are 2 layers, in fact. So you have the outer one is the cell wall, the inner one is the cell membrane. And we have option 1. If you look at the formation of this, or how in the inside part look with those kind of folded region, we know that that is a mitochondria. So 1 is a mitochondria. 2, if you look at it carefully with those lines going straight through, our parallel lines really, represent this represents a chloroplast. And 3, large, and it's pretty much centrally located, so you know that is definitely our vacuole. And so 4 will be our nucleus. And so for question number 13, we say which of the labeled structure is responsible for controlling cellular activities? And cellular activities are controlled by the nucleus. And so number 4 is a nucleus. So option D will be our answer. All right, let's jump into question number 14 now. Let's get into that. Question number 14. All right, so firstly, it said that the question refers to the following diagram, which show a process by which substances are moved into and out of a cell. All right, so if you have different concentration in and out of a cell, you know that definitely that is osmosis. All right, and so you notice say water molecules, sugar molecules, and then at the end of the experiment. So this is before, the first diagram here is before, this is after. And if you notice the dilute solution decrease, and it will cause an increase within the concentrated sugar solution. All right, so what is causing that change in the level of solution? Let's go back into what actually question is asking us here. So for question number 14, it said which of the following options correctly identifies and describe the process occurring above. So once again, substance moving in and out of cell due to difference in concentration, you know that is osmosis. Now, so we're looking for osmosis as our answer. So we know that it's between B and D. And so let's look at what B is saying. It's a water moving from dilute to concentrated solution. That is perfectly said. So B will be your option, but let's look at what D is saying just in case. It's a sugar moving from concentrated to dilute, which is not a correct statement because remember, sugar do not move by osmosis. Water moves by osmosis. Sugar will move by diffusion, or in some cases, active transport, depending on the cell or depending on where they are, the type of organism. All right, but once you see osmosis, it is the movement of water from a dilute to a concentrated solution and must go across a membrane. All right, let's go to question number 15. And question number 15 is said that which of the following functions is not correctly matched to the organelle? All right, and so we can run through this one really quick. Osmotic control, which is movement of water, and it goes through a membrane definitely. Protein synthesis is by chloroplast, which is not true. Chloroplast is for photosynthesis. So no, this is not a true statement right here, right? Okay, so the nucleus is it contains hereditary materials, which include DNA and chromosomes. So definitely that is a true statement. Mitochondria and release energy, definitely. All right, so question number 16 now on our list. And question number 16 is said refers to the following diagram, which shows a xylem vessel. And just to point this out, xylem is responsible to transport water and mineral salts throughout the plant, and xylem pretty much are dead cells. Okay, so let's go to the statement here, or the question rather. It said the major feature that is responsible for the rigid structure of the xylem vessel is what? And right off the bat here, we know that it is lignin. Lignin is what will give strength to the xylem. Again, the xylem is dead cell. Okay? All right, let's go to question number 17, which is on top of the paper. Yeah, it's on top here. All right, so let me just get a little zoom in that so you can see a little bit better. All right, so for question number 17, it states which of the following features does not enhance a leaf ability to absorb solar energy? Does not. Okay? And so large surface area Oh yes, that will definitely will enhance it. Transparent cuticle, definitely, because if it's not transparent, light cannot pass through it. And see the presence of vascular bundle. The vascular bundle is definitely used to transport substances through the plant. The xylem transport water and mineral salts. Phloem transport plant food in the form of sucrose. All right, so definitely C will be our option, but let's check out D. It's the presence of numerous chloroplasts in the palisade cells, which is an excellent answer because definitely we know that palisade um, will be the cells that contain the most chloroplasts, and chloroplasts will also absorb light. Okay? All right, so let's go to question number 18 at this time. All right, so question number 18. Let's take our time, zoom into that. All right, so question number 18 refers to the following diagram, which represents a metabolic process carried out in plants. All right, so let's go up to the diagram a little bit more. And here we have water going in, we have light going in, and we have carbon dioxide going in. So we have three things going in. And if we see these three things going in, and you have food coming out and oxygen coming out, we definitely know that this is photosynthesis, okay? So let's bear in mind that number 18 is photosynthesis. All right, so let's talk about what is now. We said the food produced is what? Okay, and the food produced here is glucose because glucose is the product of photosynthesis. So glucose will be our answer. Oh my, all right, let's just erase that. All right, so glucose is our answer. Option B for number 16. All right, so it's number 18. This is number 18, I said. Number 19 now. Let's go to number 19 really quick. And number 19 will be on our next page. So let's put the zoom into that so we can see it properly. All right, so number 19, it said that it refers to the following graph of rate of photosynthesis versus light intensity. And if you look at this graph, it's talking about two things, right? It's a photosynthesis versus light intensity. But on this graph, you notice they have carbon dioxide, and this is 0.3% carbon dioxide. Now, what this is saying, it has nothing to do with carbon dioxide based on the statement up here. We're looking at the y-axis, photosynthesis, light intensity. But the carbon dioxide is the amount of carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. I want to point out something here as well, that sometimes you see the percentage carbon dioxide in the atmosphere also as 0.04 or 0.03. So whichever one, it is correct. All right, so the question now reads now, so which of the following statement or which of the following statements best accounts for the shape of the graph? If you notice it, as light increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases, then it comes to a maximum. All right, so what is happening here is that which of the following statement best accounts for the shape, for the increase, then it tapers off like that, or plateaus. And the first statement here said, as photosynthesis rates increases, there is a decrease in carbon dioxide level, which is not true at all because the graph is not indicating the carbon dioxide level at all. All right, let's look at option B. It said, as light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases until its stationary phase exists when denaturation, so when denaturation of enzyme occurs. The enzymes, if the enzymes denature, then photosynthesis will also decrease. So that is not a true statement at all. Let's look at option C. It says carbon dioxide levels gradually increase, which is not true because its graph is not indicating carbon dioxide level at all because the x-axis is, go back to it, x-axis is light and y-axis is rate of photosynthesis. So it is not indicating any change in carbon dioxide at all. But look at D. It says light intensity increases. There is an increase in photosynthesis until there is no further increase in the rate due to some other limiting factor. And that statement seems very nice. Okay, and that is good based on the shape of the graph. All right, let's jump on to question number, I think that is 20. Yes, number 20 on top of the page. It said, which of the following organisms is a saprophyte? And you need to know what a saprophyte is. And a saprophyte is an organism that digests food on its external parts. So it digests food from the outside. What you need to know about saprophyte as well, that saprophytes, they feed on dead and decaying matter. Okay, and these dead matter or decayed matter are called detritus. Okay, so in other words, saprophytes are detritivores. Okay, and so yes, so the best organism that feeds on things on the outside will definitely be our bread mole. Okay, so option A is the correct answer. All right, let me just point out something here. Of course, a mango tree, they will absorb nutrients from the soil, but they feed on them by themselves, make their own food, so they are autotrophs. Amoeba will engulf um, substances from the water body, and they will do this by a process called phagocytosis. Thus, amoeba will feed by phagocytosis. A cat definitely, um, they will feed on other organisms. All right, so they are called heterotrophs. All right, and we are example of heterotrophs. We depend on other organisms for food. All right, question number 21. Question number 21, it reads that an enzyme is best defined as a molecule which does what? All right, and it said increase the rate of chemical reaction, which is true because enzymes do increase the rate of chemical reaction. But let's just run through the other options to make sure that this is the best option. B saying decrease the rate of chemical reaction, which is a false statement there. C is saying decrease the rate of chemical reaction but remain unchanged, not a true statement at all. D is saying increases the rate of a chemical reaction but remains unchanged at the end of the reaction. All right. A and D are good options, right? But D is better because enzymes remain unchanged. They do not take part in the chemical reaction. In other words, enzymes are reusable, and that is one property of enzymes. They can be reused again and again. Okay. All right, let's jump to question number 22 at this time. And question number 22 is said it refers to the following equation, which shows the oxidation of glucose in cells. And when I say oxidation, I mean adding of oxygen. Okay. And so here now you have glucose plus oxygen, give you carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. So here it said that the energy released from the process above is what? Okay. Now this is respiration. As we know this is respiration. And respiration produces what type of energy? It produces ATP, just to point that out. So here is a convert to ATP. The energy release is not converted to ATP. The energy release is ATP. Okay, so let's look at option D. You know, so they're stored in high energy bond in ATP. So this is a better option. ADP will be out, so A and C they're out, and so this is the answer right here. And again, the difference between B and D, the energy is not converted to ATP. As I said, the energy is ATP. So the energy is stored in ATP itself. Okay, so that's for question number 22. All right, question number 23. All right, let's do a little page shift right here. And there we are. Now, for question number 23, right, it stated that now we have here a respiratory structure. And we know this is an alveolus. We have a red blood cell there, gas going in and gas coming out at this point. And we have a blood capillary around the alveolus, okay? So it said that the respiratory structure shown above is that of an, and this is the alveolus right off the bat. There's no need to discuss that one. We could move on to question number 24 this time. 23 is a, now 24, it said, which of the following is an effect of carbon monoxide found in cigarette smoke? So what will carbon monoxide do All right, so let's look through the options really carefully. And it said increase heart rate. No, not necessarily. It said increase breathing, the beating of cilia. And if carbon monoxide goes on cilia, it will slow them down because of the tar buildup on the cilia. It will be harder for them to move, definitely. And option C is saying that it reduces oxygen transport by the blood, which is definitely true because, again, when tar build up inside of the alveolus, then it will be difficult for oxygen to pass over into the blood. All right, so definitely it reduces the amount of oxygen. So yeah, that's a nice one. D is increased mucus production in the cell lining of the respiratory passage, which is not true because again, the mucus will become hard due to a buildup of tar. Okay, so 24 is C. Let's jump to 25. And question number 25. I think I'm moving a little bit too fast. Okay, right there. Question number 25. It said, why is it difficult to develop a vaccine for the common cold? All right, so for the common cold, it's a vaccine cannot be developed for viruses, which is not true. Of course, we're experiencing that now. There are many vaccines being produced for the coronavirus. All right, and it said the antigens on the common cold virus remain the same, which is not true because they keep mutating. And option C now is saying that the antigens on the common cold virus frequently are changed frequently, which is true. Let's look at D. It said human beings cannot produce antibodies for the common cold, which is not true. All right, a matter of fact, if you're exposed to virus or any disease, a matter of fact, you tend to build up immunity against them. All right, once you have a normal functioning immune system, you tend to build up immunity against them. But vaccine will assist us in making our defense a little bit better. All right, so let's go to question number 26 now. And let's see, I think this is at the bottom or top. I'm not sure. Let's go. No, that's to be the top. So question number 26 at the top. All right, let's get over and zoom into that. Right, and we should be good now. All right, so, right. So question number 26, it said, in heart bypass surgery, an artery is advantageous over a vein to bypass the blockage because of what? All right, so looking at arteries, or an artery is advantageous over a vein, and why? All right, so look at option A, and it said option A said arteries have thicker and more muscular walls than veins, which is absolutely true. It said veins allow blood to flow in one direction, which is true because they have valves, but we're looking at the advantages of an artery over a vein. And it's the arteries carry blood away from the heart, and that's not the reason why you're going to do that, because you're going to buy, he said heart bypass surgery, and better use an artery because, of course, it must more muscular and more thicker, is easier to work, easier to take blood under higher pressure, easier to even work on in terms of doing surgery. Okay, so A is our option right there. Let's jump into question number 27, and we are almost halfway there. All right, just let's take our time to go through to understand the questions and answers. So question number 27, it said, which of the following options best identifies some of the transport substances in animals? And again, looking at transport substances. All right, so amino acids, okay? Amino acid is a transport substance, transport in the blood, hormones transport in the blood, glucose transport in the blood as well. So these, all three of them, they are transport substances in animal. They are transported in the body through the blood vessels. All right, and so option D here will take care of all three. Yes, so that is correct. All right, and let's go to question number 28. And in question number 28, it said, in the transport of solutes in the phloem, the source is defined as any area of the plant where what is taking place. Now, first thing to point out here with this question number 28, right? Now, they want us to know what is happening at the source where the phloem will transport solute. Now notice it never says solvent, it said solute, which could be sugar generally, but bottom line is the phloem transports plant food in the form of sucrose. Okay? So let's look at now what is happening at the beginning stage before the phloem transport sucrose. All right, so let's look at option A, and it said water is taken out of the phloem, which is not true. Matter of fact, once the water, you can forget about it. Okay, the phloem transports sucrose. So option C seems good because the sucrose is loaded into the phloem. So at the start or at the source, sucrose will go into the phloem because the phloem transports sucrose. D is not correct because D will be at the end of the source or at the end of the phloem. So at the destination, for example, the roots of a plant, for example, potatoes, the sucrose will be taken out of the phloem. But at the beginning, sucrose will go into the phloem. All right, and notice the question again. All right, at the source is defined as any area where sucrose is loaded in the phloem. All right, so let's go to question number 29. And for question number 29, it says, which conditions will the rate of transpiration in plants be highest? Now, transpiration is the loss of water from plants, especially the leaves and any upper part of the plant, a matter of fact, right? So, if you have sunny and low wind, no. The low wind part is wrong, but the sunny part is cool. But option B is a sunny and high wind. Yeah, that look good. Okay, let's look at C. It's a cloudy. Matter of fact, let's even forget about C and D because they're cloudy. And when it's cloudy, whether it be high or low wind, because it's cloudy, you have less sunlight, less heat, a matter of fact. So it'll be cooler, and so therefore you have less evaporation, right? So 29 here, we're going with B. All right. Now let's go into question number 30. All right. Question number 30 should be on the next page right here. All right, this is nice. Okay, great. Now, question number 30 now is a refer to the following diagram of a mammalian kidney nephron. So this is a nephron of a mammal, right? Well, truth be told, when we talk about the nephron, I just want to remember what a nephron is. A nephron is a functional unit of a kidney. In other words, the nephron is responsible for filtering substance out of the blood within the kidney. As a matter of fact, there are thousands and thousands of nephron within the kidney. Now, let me just point out a few things here. Since we have this, I could actually type this in. Here we have number one here is the Boseman capsule. So let's put that down there. So this is a Boseman's capsule. Let's put that in right there. That's the capsule. Right here is, matter of fact, in the Boseman capsule, what you have here, you have the glomerulus. So it's a network of capillaries called the glomerulus. I'm gonna just write that name for you real quick. So this will be the glomerulus right here. Okay. All right. So the glomerulus is a network of capillaries within the Bowman's capsule. Okay. All right. Next, I want to point out is number 2 because this could have 2 names, and so let me just give you the 2 names. Matter of fact, so part 2 right here, it is called the proximal convolution. Okay. So the proximal convolution, or it may also call the first convolution. Okay, so you can just put one ST, but I'm going to write that out. So it's called, so they call it first convolution as well. Okay, convolution. All right, so just to make a note of that. And let me go a little bit down on this diagram here just to label this. And part 3 of this is called a loop of Henle. All right, so this is the loop of Henle. Okay, all right, and we have Yeah, that's pretty much good. This other convolution here is the second convolution or the distal convolution. Let me just label that right here as well. This one is called a distal or the is either called a distal or the second convolution. Okay. All right. It's kind of hidden on the diagram, but you know exactly what I'm talking about here. All right. Convolution. Right. And this structure right here is called a collecting duct. All right. A collecting duct. All right, and we are good right there. Okay, so just know how to label this. All right, and the capillaries will be all over the nephron as well. So just in case you need that, you can also label accordingly. All right, so I just want to point it out. All right, so for 30 now, we said which option correctly relates to the process occurring in parts label 1, 2, and 3. And let's go back to the diagram again. One is the Boseman capsule, and in the Boseman capsule, you have the glomerulus, and the glomerulus will is the capillaries, and substance will be filtered from the capillaries into the Bowman's capsule, and it does that by what they call ultrafiltration. Okay, so number one should be ultrafiltration taking place. Okay, good. So A and B will be our two answers so far, options, possible options. C and D will be out of it. Definitely cannot be true. But let's look at part two and see what's happening. Part two, I think we didn't establish that. Okay, part two is the proximal convolution, our first convolution. And so let's see which one is better here. And if you look keenly, it said that you have water conservation taking place there, which is not true at all. And you have selective reabsorption taking place. So yes, selective reabsorption takes place at the convolutions, and especially reabsorption of sodium, for example, okay, will take place at the convolutions. All right, at part three, which is a loop of Henle, water conservation will take place. So definitely for 30, B will be our option. Okay. All right. So great. B will be your option. Okay. Let me just look at something. Is the part three is said that that part three, which is loop of Henle, is under the influence of ADH, which is not true because ADH affects mainly the collecting duct. Okay, so the collecting duct is mainly affected by ADH, and ADH is the antidiuretic hormone. A matter of fact, let me just write it down that real quick because there's something I want to talk about that really quick. ADH, which is antidiuretic hormone. Let me just write it down. DIURETIC, antidiuretic hormone. Okay. All right. So now this hormone is responsible to conserve water. Okay, it's responsible to conserve water. And in other words, it limited the amount of water that will come out of the kidneys. But drinking alcohol beverages, it will inhibit ADH. And so persons who drink a lot of beers, for example, if you notice, they will urinate quite often because it affects or inhibits the ADH. Okay, and ADH is what is responsible to release less water. Release less water. Okay, all right. So let's jump to our next question. This question number 31. So we jump over the halfway mark now. All right, so we're almost there. We're going to speed up a little bit more, interest of time. All right, I just want to explain the question. So, of course, you know how to answer this. Now, question 31. And for question number 31, it said the best description of the role of excretion in living organisms is to do what? And excretion is removal of metabolic waste. So that's something that you need to make note of. So we don't need to explain this really because you get rid of toxic waste or metabolic waste. All right, so that is straightforward. All right, 32, it said which of the following is not a form of excretion in plants? So it's not getting rid of any form of waste, in other words, right? So looking at option A, it's a carbon dioxide diffuses in, keyword here, diffuses in through the stomata. If you're taking in something, it's not excretion. because excretion is to remove it. So by virtue of the word in, I could also say that this is not a form of excretion. Again, plants require carbon dioxide to photosynthesize. All right, so if you look at the other options, you realize that they are not, they are, a matter of fact, I should say, they are examples of excretion. Substance being stored in bark of trees, and trees shed their barks at times with those waste substances. Water vapor diffusing out of the plant definitely is a form of excretion. Calcium oxalate crystals being stored in leaves during leaf fall, so they will fall off. The leaves will fall and remove those wastes as well. Yeah, so definitely A. All right, let's go to question number 33. All right, so question number 33 is said, which of the following correctly describes or describe movement in plants? And we have growth movement, which is absolutely true. Part movement is true. Whole body movement, it is not true. So the option must be 1 and 2. So yeah, 1 and 2, which is B, is correct. All right, let's go to question number 34. And question number 34 is in humans, the skeleton system performs a variety of functions, including what? All right, so first and foremost, 34 here, yeah, blood cell formation. Blood is made in the bone marrow. So it's a function of the skeleton system. So after the here, we know that 34 seems like is the answer. Hormone formation, not true. Immune response, not true. All right, mastication. All right, that is typically kind of true too, because now we stop between A and D, because mastication is chewing. And when you're chewing, you're going to use a lot of your muscles mainly, right? And so A is better than D, because mastication, even though you're using your jaw and your muscles cover your skeleton bones in your mouth, they move your jaw up and down in chewing. But the main thing here, blood is made in the bone marrow. So we go in with A. All right. So D is somewhat true. All right, but it is mainly the movement of muscles, chewing and mixing of saliva in the mouth is not purely the skeleton system, but it is somewhat true. All right, 35. All right, so we're at 35. All right, we're kind of moving on a little bit faster now. Okay, 35, it said, let me just go back to 34 a little bit just to make sure. Yeah, all right, 34 is good. All right, we're going to satisfy with A as our option. All right, in 35, it said locomotion is important to animals for. And locomotion means movement, all right? So why do animals move? Now think about it. Avoiding predators, yes, you want to move to avoid predators. Acquiring food and shelter, definitely. For reproduction, you move for reproduction as well. So absolutely, I would say all of them. So 35 will be D as our answer right here. All right, let's go to 36 now. We're going a little bit faster. And some of these questions are more direct, so definitely move faster with those questions. Now, question 36 refers to the following diagrams illustrating an experiment. Now, in experiment number 1 here, we have light, we have foil cap, we have a shoot. Here, where the tip is removed. And this is really, by looking at it, you know that this is testing auxin, because auxin will be in the tip of shoots, right? You cover it with a foil cap, the auxin will be equally distributed in that, because light will not be able to penetrate it. And remember that auxin concentrated on the darker side of plants, right? Now, take off the tip. There's no auxin being produced, because auxin produced in tip of the shoot. Now, the shoot in part 3 here, or experiment 3, is uncovered. Nothing is done to it. So it's like a control, in other words, a control experiment number 3. And in 4, there is a transparent cap. The transparent cap is like having nothing there, because light will be able to pass through on one side based on the angle of the light. So therefore, 3 and 4 should have the same effect. All right, but let's see what they're asking us here though. All right, so for this question number 36, it said, after a few days, the tallest shoot would most likely be what? Just go back to it so you get to see the reference here, right? 3 and 4 will behave the same way, because transparent cap, without any cap, the light pass through, the plant will bend in 3 and 4. In 2, the plant will not grow at, the plant will not grow that fast because there's no auxin to actually cause growth vertically. All right. The one that covered with a foil cap, the auxin will be distributed equally throughout the plant, so the plant will go straight up, and so it should be the tallest one. So wherever you see option 1, that should be correct. Okay, so A is our correct answer there. Now let's move to question number 37. And it said, which of the following options best describe the terms stimulus and response? Stimulus and response. All right. So we say a deliberate provocation of an organism, the movement of the organism. If this is deliberate, it is not necessarily a stimulus response type of relationship or action. All right. For B, it's an organism exposure to light, the growth of an organism away from light. This is somewhat true because plants react to light. If you expose them to light on one side, it will grow towards the light. Well, it's a towards that. Plants grow towards that. We're saying away from light. But some organisms, such as roaches, if you expose them to light, they will not grow, but they'll move away from the light. So yes, even correcting myself right now, B cannot be correct because growing towards the light will be for plants. Animals such as roaches, they do not grow away from light; they move away from light. So this growth here make this statement actually wrong. All right, so that almost caught me just now. All right, so C is a wave of excitement in an organism. A wave of excitement in an organism, a locomotion of the organism, not necessarily true. Excitement and moving of the organism, not necessarily a stimulus response type of behavior. But if you look at the option now, say a detectable change in an organism's environment, a change within the environment, and the organism react to that stimulus, yes, it is a stimulus. Any change within the environment is described as a stimulus, and hence, if that change is detected, then absolutely it is a stimulus response type of behavior. All right, let's go to our next question, which is question number 38. All right, this here, no, let's see what's going on here. Now, 38 refers to the following diagram of a spinal reflex. So it's a reflex arc, okay? So it's a reflex arc. So let's kind of figure out what is going on here in this reflex arc here. In the reflex arc, if you notice that this is, let's start here, the skin of hand. So on the skin is going to pick up the sense. You're going to travel through the first neuron, which is called a sensory neuron. Then it goes through a relay neuron. Then it goes through the motor neuron. Then into the muscle where the action will take place. In fact, in the cells, in the skin, you'll find cells called receptor cells. So there are receptor cells within the skin, and there are effector cells within the muscle. And those effector cells will trigger the action within the muscle itself, all right? So remember now is receptor, sensory neuron, relay neuron, motor neuron, and effector cells within the muscle. So I said the number structures are, so let's go through it again. So we have the number structure, and this is kind of number backwards as far as I'm concerned, because here it start here and go like that, but I guess they don't even care. They're not even testing you in terms of order. They want to know the name. All right, so the number 2 has to be sensory, okay? Number 1 has to be motor. So let's look at number 1 being a motor neuron. All right, so number 1 is motor neuron, so we can take out A and B. And the second one, let's show you where second one is again, so we make sure that we focus on it. The second one is the first one is the sensory. So it's motor, sensory, and relay. So for 38, option C will be our answer right here, okay? All right, number 39. And in number 39, they say the role of an effector is to do what? I remember I just talk about that. Effectors are found in the muscles. And so if they're in the muscles, they help to bring about the response or the movement. So definitely B for 39 will be your answer right there. It is not detecting it. That's the response for a receptor. It's not creating a nerve impulse at all. And it's not a nerve impulse. So definitely D is not is not it. So 39 is definitely 40. All right, and we're going to be there really quick after this, I suspect. So 40, just hold tight a little bit. So number 40, it refers to the following diagram of an eye which shows nearsightedness. And this is nearsightedness. I'm going to point out why is nearsightedness. Notice where the lines merge. That's where the image will be, is in front of the retina. So definitely this person is short-sightedness or nearsightedness. All right, so which of the following shows how the defect can be corrected? So how can you correct a nearsightedness? And a nearsightedness is controlled by what they call a diverging lens. And so what happened here is that the light will bend outwards before it enters the eye. So option A is correct. And I'm going to go to a diagram and show you why it needs to bend outwards. And so once bending outwards, these will open up a little bit further. The rays will open a little bit further, and hence the image will be able to form on the retina instead of in front of the retina. Okay, so if they close in, which is bent inwards, they're going to even form more away from the retina. All right, so let's jump into 41 right now. All right, question number 41. Let's get that on the screen. All right, question number 41 here. It said that 41. It said that the following statement described the processes taking place within a seed during germination. Okay, and so here it said the embryo uses food to develop the radicle and pumule. Enzymes break down proteins into amino acid. Soluble products move into the embryo. All right, so the first thing you need to think about here, right? Before anything can take place, the enzyme must break down the food within the seed. So the food becomes available to the growing region, which are called embryo. Okay, so the first one must be number 2. So let's look at the options here. Let's go down to the options. So let's keep it right there. Good. So again, as I'm saying, that the first option here has to be enzymes break down the food. In this case, is proteins. All right, so option 2 must be the first thing. All right, so there is between C and D. So between C and D has to be your answer. And then the next thing after the food is being broken down, after the food is being broken down, then what must happen here is that the soluble products move into the embryo, which is a growing region, whether it be pumule or radicle. And then after that, now the embryo use the food to develop the radicle and pumule. Okay, so the embryo will use that part now, use the food available after it being moved into it or absorbed it. And so D look like is the best option. Enzyme break down the food substances move into the embryo. The embryo uses that now to develop the radicle and pumule. So this will be our option D. All right, let's go to 42 now. All right, so 42, where it is? 42 is at the bottom of the page. Yeah, so 42 is at the bottom of the page. It said item 42 refers to the following graph, which illustrates a measurement of growth in living organisms. So if you notice, it's a measure of growth. So growth is taking place, and growth takes place over time. Okay, so growth takes place over time. So it's naturally for you to start growing, increasing growth, and then now over a period of time, your growth rate will be plateau or tapered off based on the graph, right? So here now say which of the following is an incorrect label for the y-axis, So for y mean increase and then eventually stop, right? So I could say time will be incorrect for 42. So 42C will be your option. And of course, look at the graph. Time don't increase, then tapered off. No, time is on a continuum. So time should be on the x-axis. So right off the bat, we can increase in mass or size and then eventually stop doing that. Length, which is our height, definitely so. Number of leaves in plants, they can produce a great number of leaves, and then the number of leaves will become stationary over a period of time. So definitely, unit of time is not. And generally, unit of time normally goes on the x-axis anyways. All right, let's go to question number 43. I'm not sure where it is. It's on the top of the page. Yeah, it's on the top of the page. All right, so question 43. Okay, this has options as well. Now, question number 43 is a reference to the following activities involved in the menstrual cycle. Okay, so this is in the menstrual cycle. And here it said that you have repair of the uterine lining, you have ovulation, you have shedding of the uterine lining, development of the Graafian follicle. And now it asks here, which of the following sequences show the correct order of activities? Now, what I know here first and foremost, what must be your answer, is that you should have the development of the Graafian follicle first. The follicle must develop first. So we can take out A and B out of our answer. That cannot be. Okay? So the follicle develops first, and while the follicle is developing, you also menstruating. Okay, so menstruation should be taking place, which means you should shed the line of the uterine wall as well. But let's see if this comes after. Let's look at it and see if it's going to make any sense at number 4. So number 4 first, then number 3. Then it said after the shedding of lining, then you have ovulation. Then after ovulation, you have repair. No, that can't be right because repair does not take place after ovulation. Repair takes place before ovulation. So let's look at option C then. So option C, it said that here that the follicle develops, then you have repair of the uterine wall. Yes, because during the development of a follicle, you are menstruating, and after menstruating, then you will develop or repair the uterine wall, and then you should have 2 years ovulation. So ovulation takes place after a couple days after, let's say average of 7 days after menstruation. And then after menstruation finish, and you ovulate, of course, the uterine lining will also develop and thickens and all of that and vascularize, but eventually it's going to break down again and then go back to the same process. So I think C, a matter of fact, is better than D. All right, and the reason for that, I'm taking out D is not the answer because you cannot have repair after ovulation. It doesn't make sense. You repair before you ovulate. All right, and so option C there is correct. All right, 44. Now for 44, here no, 44, it said refers to the following diagrams of flowers from 2 different types of plants. So plant 1, the anther, on the outside, the stigma look feathery. All right, that means you have the stigma feathery, if you notice how it looks. And so it can capture a lot of substances or pollen that is passing through. Plant 2, you have to go internal here to actually reach the pollen grains or the stigma. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. So which of the following statement is true for both plants? And it's a both are wind pollinated. Not true because A, the first plant, because the anther is on the outside, yes, and the stigma feathery, yeah, that may be wind pollinated. B is the petals are absent on plant 1 and 2, which is not true. C is a both are pollinated by hummingbirds. Not true at all because if you notice, there's no petal on plant A. Let me just go back to it again. The first plant has no petal. I've not seen any petal here, but petal is here. So hummingbird will tend to go in the one in number 2. So Dino said 1 is pollinated by wind and 2 pollinated by hummingbird. Yes, that one looked good. Okay, based on the structure here. All right, great. So 45. Question number 45. Let's get into it. Where it is, right there. It said, which of the following shows the correct sequence for seed formation after fertilization? All right. So the first thing here, and I'm thinking I'm seeing the answer as I look at it, because ovule first, because C and D will be out, because I cannot have embryo first. The ovule when it is fertilized form what they call a zygote. So a zygote is formed after the ovule is fertilized. Then the zygote develop into embryo, then embryo develop into what they call a seed. So 45 is A. All right, so that's off the bat, A. Now 46, it said this one now refers to the diagram of the specialized cells. Cell 1 is an egg cell, cell 2 is a sperm cell. And so 46 now, we said which of the following structures is common to both cells. Cilium is only for the sperm cell, which is this. No, matter of fact, this is wrong. The cell 2, it is flagellum, so that is what causes the cell to move. So it is not ciliated at all. So this is not true. Nucleus of both cells, yeah, without any doubt. All cells, well, exception of red blood cells, they have nucleus. All right, so 46, we're going to go with B without any doubt. Cell wall is absent from both of them. They're not plant cells. Acrosome is only in the sperm cell, which is cell 2. And acrosome is where you'll find enzymes. So it will be at the tip of the sperm cell, and it will use to burrow itself within the egg cell. So on the top here, we see this white area. That is where you find the acrosome. The other white area here, what I'm pointing to right now, which will be the nucleus, and that will carry the chromosomes and so on. All right, so that was question number 46. 47, let's see if it's at the bottom. I think this one is at the top. Yeah, top. 47 is at the top. Let me just quickly slide over to that side. All right, so 47, it said, which of the following forms a birth control, which of the following forms of birth control is most likely to be 100% effective? Condoms, yeah, they're effective, but condoms can burst as well, depending on their use. If they're not used properly, they can be damaged. And of course, yeah, so they're effective generally if they're properly used. Diaphragm, no, not so secure at all. Tubal ligation is excellent because that is actually cutting and tying the tubes, and in some cases burn the ends of them as well. So yeah, tubal ligation is definitely so. Birth control pills, yes, they're effective, but they're not 100% effective because again, it all depends on the chemicals and the body, on your body as well, and your reaction to the chemicals, and there are a number of other factors that can also cause other problems. All right, let's go to 48. A vector is defined as an organism that what? Bite animals, no. Cause diseases, no. They're not the cause of it. They are the agent in terms of transmission. Live on other organism, no. So vector is what transmit disease. That transmit disease organism. So 48 is that. 49. Let's go to 49. And 49 is a 60-year-old man, is diagnosed with hypertension as well as diabetes. Which of the following treatments would be most effective for the management of both diseases? And here it said exercising and lowering intake of salt and refined carbohydrates. That one seems really good so far. All right. Spending more time relaxing, that's no. Absolutely no. That's killing yourself if you have diabetes and hypertension. No. C, starting a rigorous exercise program. That is good, but that is only good for diabetes, not for hypertension necessarily. Taking insulin injections, that's for the diabetes part of it, but not for the hypertension. So A is definitely the winner for 49. All right, let's go to 50. All right, 50 is way down the bottom. All right, so 50 is here. All right, this is a huge question. Okay, that's a diagram. Okay, good. All right, so this we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's a stage. So it said refers to the following diagram which shows the life cycle of a vector. Obviously, it's a mosquito. All right, so there's a mosquito as a vector here. All right, again, it uses to transmit diseases. Remember that. So we can label these, and so we could, if we label it, then we're able to answer a question, I think, more effectively. So number 1 is eggs. If you can see it, right? So this will be eggs right here. Okay, this is eggs. All right, and then this will be the larvae. So this one is the larvae or larva. All right, as a singular. And then we have our pupa. And then we have our adult mosquito. All right. Right. Adult. All right. So we have our stages there labeled. All right. So let's see what they're asking us now. And here they said, at which stage is the vector easily controlled by the use of aerosol insecticides? And aerosol means that you can spray it and fumes come out or gases it in the atmosphere, the air, really. Okay. So just to point this out, that the eggs, larva, and pupa, they will be found in water. So the one that will be in the atmosphere, in the air, flying around, yes, is adult. So definitely is the last stage. So 50 has to be D. Okay. 50 has to be D, which is the adult mosquito. Just spray them, they fall, they die. All right, 51. And those are some annoying vectors too, making noise in here sometimes. Anyway, 51. Which of the following option best describe a chromosome? All right. So a chromosome is a two forms of the same gene. No. Different forms of genes, they are called allele. Structures made up of DNA wrapped around histone proteins. Well, there's no protein here, but it's histone proteins, right? The proteins are called histone proteins. All right, and so B, yeah, B is definitely describing chromosome. But let's go to option C. It's a nucleic acid that contains all genetic information. This is DNA. So you have two nucleic acids, as a matter of fact. You have DNA and RNA. But DNA contains all the genetic information. RNA is only half of the DNA, or a portion of the DNA, or one strand of the DNA. So B is still the winner. D now is a part of the DNA which carries genetic information to produce proteins. No, that is not true. All right, that's not true at all. And that could be genes, because a part of it could be, a part of DNA will be the genes. So that's not a true statement. So B is our winner for 51. All right, 52. Yeah, we're almost there. Pretty much excited, isn't it? Yep. All right. So 52, if a diploid organism has two different alleles for the same gene, it is described as what? I notice that here, two different alleles. Two different. If it's different, think about the word different. It is hetero. Okay? Hetero means different. And so off the bat, we know A has to be your answer for 52. Homo mean the same. Dominant and recessive is describing allele, okay? So a single allele generally, dominant or recessive allele. The genotype here, again, is heterozygous or homozygous. All right, there's some that you need to pay attention to, just in case you missed him. So 53, where that is, on top. All right, so 53 on top, let me just quickly read through that. It said, which of the following statement about meiosis is not true? Meiosis is not true. All right, so meiosis, it said it allows genetic variation. Yeah, that is a true statement, because crossover take place in meiosis, and that, which means an exchange of genetic material, and that occurs in prophase 1 during meiosis. Yep, so definitely, when I said not prophase 1, yeah. So crossover and synapsis will take place there, okay? And going from prophase 1 into the metaphase 1, where you have a tetrad forming, there's where you're going to find the exchange of materials taking place, and so on, okay? So it start taking place from prophase 1, and then you will see the overlapping of the chromosomes within metaphase 1. All right. So option B now, we said result in the production of gametes. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. C, it said it doubles the number of chromosomes in gametes. No, not that true. Not true at all, because chromosomes, they are half the number within the gametes. Okay, so gametes have half number of chromosomes. So C, I lean on to C. Let's check out D though. It causes haploid cell to form from diploid cells. All right, it causes haploid cells to form from diploid cells. The D here for 53, it doubles. Okay, so not true, but this is true. Okay, I'll catch myself just now, because these say it causes haploid cells to form diploid cells, which is a true statement. Okay, all right. So yeah, so it said not. So not. So look out for these keywords. You see, I just now almost got catch by that. So the number, it doubles. which is not a true statement. Okay, and it's not a true statement at all. All right. Number 54. It said that Tarzan and Jane are heterozygous for blood group A and B, respectively. They said, which of the following shows all the possible results of their genetic cross? Now, let me just point out something real quick here. When it said heterozygous for blood group, let me just say this. Heterozygous A, it means AO, okay? Homozygous A mean AA, okay? All right, just to make a note of that. Heterozygous B means BO. Let me just quickly put that down as well. And so therefore, if you do your Punnett square, let me see if I could do the Punnett square right here. So you do the Punnett square, right? And you're going to cross both of them. So you're going to put let's put AO on top, okay? And then put our BO at the side right here. All right. And notice here now, here going to be our AB here. And on the next side, just ignore my bad handwriting for now. I'm just trying to manipulate this thing. BO there, AO right here. All right. And then OO at the end right here. And so what we have as a result, 25% AB. Where is that? 25% AB, yes. 25% A. This AO is still A group, okay? So AA or AO is still A group. So it's 25% A group, which is right here. 25% B group, so BO or BB, they are both the B group. And so definitely 25% that, and O group is 25%. So yes, D is our winner for question number 54. All right, let's go to question number 55. And we're almost there. Believe that? Wow. All right. Now, question number 55. It said, as a result, let me make sure that I don't skip any question. Yeah, okay, we are right. So, question 55. It said, as a result of mitosis, each daughter cell has what? As a result of mitosis, each daughter cell has what? A variable number of chromosome, not true at all, because they have the same number. B, twice the number of chromosome as the parent cell, not true, they have the same number. So C, the same number of chromosome as the parent cell, yeah. So 55 is off the bat, C. Okay, 56, down the line. So 56 is down the line, let's go down the line. It's a one example of sex-linked disease is what? Cancer cells. Cancer is not a sex link because it can be in both male and females. Hypertension, I actually crossed that out. That's not the answer there. So 56 is said cancer is not, it is both male and female. Hypertension can be any gender, not specific. Color blindness is tend to be more likely in males. So it's a sex link. That means it can be on the 23rd pair of chromosome, whether it be the X or Y chromosome, generally the X. All right. And so Down syndrome can be any of the gender as well. So option C for number 56. Now 57, so this is 59 here, so 57 must be on the top. All right, 57, it said variation in the population is due to, and no, 57, variation of population is due to what? Mutation can cause variation, yes, because there's a change in the genetic makeup, definitely. Crossing over, as in meiosis, is responsible for variation as well. Asexual reproduction is not a cause of variation because asexual reproduction is producing identical offspring as parent. So that can't be the option there. So 57 has to be 1 and 2, which is A. Okay, A. Right, that look good. All right, 58. 58 reads now, it says a species consists of members that can do what? And here, species is occupy the same habitat. Yes, of course, they can occupy the same habitat. But let's see what is the most powerful statement here. Produce by asexual means. No, because only one parent required there. Interbreed under natural conditions, depending on what you call natural conditions. So let me just see. Let's stick with A and C a little bit to see if there's anything better than that. Interbreed to produce offspring. or fertile offspring. The word fertile here is very important. So this is much more powerful than A and C. Okay. All right. So great. So let's jump on to question 59. One more to go. Wow. You are a good trooper. You're here and you're stick with it all this way. So let's go to 59. All right. So which of the following descriptions is true for natural and artificial selection? Natural and artificial selection. Now, here now, it said that natural selection occurs in domestic population. Not true. It's domestic and normally artificially select them. So I would not say that is true for that. Occurs in natural population. That is more natural selection. I would say go for that one. And so here it said involves genetic modification. That's not natural at all. That's more artificial. And so C said produce great biological diversity. If it's natural selection, yes, you may produce diversity because the organisms will have to adapt to the changes within the environment. So as the environment change, the organisms will naturally select it to suit that environment and produce very different organism from natural population. If it's artificially selected, then just generally over a period of time, you may see total differences from the original population itself. So C is not a bad one at all. Let's look at D. It said it is faster process. Natural selection is faster. No, it's really a slow process. If you are doing artificially, then you decide there and then how fast you want to do it, and all those things can be manipulated. So C is our better option right now. All right, let's go to our final question that I know you're waiting here so patiently, and I thank you so much. All right, so for this final question, it said it refers to the following diagram, which shows stages 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the production of insulin by genetic engineering. And so let's look at one here. Okay, let's look at the cells first before we even move on to that. You have a human cell here on the left, and on the right you have a bacterium cell. And in the bacterium cell you have chromosomes, and you have the plasmid here. Let me just point out though quickly what is happening at 1. At 1, the plasmid is being removed. You notice that. And after the plasmid is being removed, a section of it is also cut out as well. All right, so what is going to happen here now is that in the human cell, over this human cell now, what they do is to take out a chromosome, a part of a chromosome that contains the genes to make insulin. So what is happening at stage 2 is the removal of genes that are responsible for the production of insulin. Now, what is happening here now at 3 is that the gene responsible for the production of insulin is inserted into the plasmid. Okay, so it's inserted into the plasmid. And then what's going to happen after that is that they're going to reintroduce the plasmid into the bacterium cell, and the bacterium cell now can able to reproduce with these type of plasmid and able to produce insulin. And after they get a number of bacteria cells, then they can extract the insulin once the insulin is produced within the bacteria. All right. So let's see what they're asking us right here. So in which of the stages above can insulin be produced by the bacterium? And it has to be the last option, when the plasmid is reintroduced into the bacterium cell. And so that is option 4, which means our answer here is D. All right. And I say thank you again for you to be here for so long, enduring my explanations. So I hope you do well in the examination, and I will see you soon. Take care, my friends.